Hey there guys, how's it going? I'm Corey. This is the How to Adult Show. Episodes come out every Monday, so make sure that you subscribe to the channel, and also while you're down around the subscribe button, if you're interested, there is a link that you can use to sign up for our fabulous newsletter. It comes out once a week and it's full of extra finance resources, tips, and tricks. Again, that's linked down in the bio. Now, in today's episode, we are going full Canadian and we are talking RRSPs. For anyone who doesn't know, an RRSP is a Canadian-specific tax advantage savings account that most of us who live and earn and pay taxes here in Canada should be taking advantage of and using. RRSPs are a really fantastic tool, but a lot of people shy away from using them because at first glance, they can seem a little confusing. It's not something that we're ever formally taught about, and on top of that, most people don't like talking about their money and savings and finance situations, so it's not something that naturally comes up in everyday conversation. As a result, we don't really naturally gain an understanding of what an RRSP is and how to use one well. So today, I thought I would help break down that first barrier to entry by identifying 5 of the most common mistakes that people make with their RRSP, so that you can avoid making these same pitfalls. And the best news is that if you avoid making just these 5 mistakes, then you're basically using your RRSP the right way. Honestly, you have nothing to worry about. So if you've been feeling a little bit lost every time you hear the word RRSP and it sounds really big and scary, and if you want to start saving and investing money for your future, but you don't entirely understand how to use your RRSP properly to do this, then stick around through this episode. It's a quick and easy one, I promise. I've got you covered. Before we dive in though, I want to say a quick hello and welcome to the How to Adult Show. I'm your host, Corey Fowler, and this is your source for all the important adulting life skills, like personal finance, that you wish someone had just taught you in school. So make sure you hit subscribe and let's get started. Mistake number 1 that people make with their RRSP is not putting in their contribution before the cutoff date of March 1st. Now, you're allowed to contribute to your RRSP anytime, but when you make your contribution before the cutoff date, then you're allowed to use that contribution as a write-off against your taxes for that year. This means you can use it to lower your taxable income, which means you pay less tax, which means that you end up being able to keep more money in your own pockets. And who doesn't like that? That's awesome. Contributing to your RRSP is one of the easiest ways to lower your taxable income. And if you already have the ability to set aside that money as savings each year, and if you're putting that towards your retirement savings, then it's just a really smart move to put it into your RRSP. This account was essentially designed as an incentive for Canadians to save for their retirement. The government wants you to do that, so they're offering a literal cash incentive of being able to write it off against your taxes. So make sure you contribute before March 1st, put that date in your calendar, make sure you're contributing to your RRSP by the end of February at the latest, just to allow for some delay time, and then you can use it to pay less taxes that year. RRSP mistake number 2 that Canadians make is not knowing their contribution limit. You're not allowed to put just any amount of money you want into your RRSP and write it off against your taxes. And you're also not limited by your employer match if you have that. You're allowed to contribute 18% of your previous year's income to your RRSP. This means that last year, if you earned $100,000, then this year you're allowed to contribute $18,000 to that account. If you contribute more than the allotted 18%, there will be a financial penalty. Conversely, many people will under-contribute to their RRSP because they're just contributing the percentage allotted for their employer match. For example, if your employer matches you 3% for RRSP contributions, you're allowed to contribute more than that 3%. They just won't contribute more than that. Your employer just won't contribute more than that. And really, if you have the ability to, you should be working towards contributing up to that 18% over time because tax write-offs are great. If you're ever unsure about exactly how much you're allowed to contribute, just pull up a copy of your notice of assessment from the CRA for your previous year's taxes, and it will tell you exactly how much you're allowed to contribute this year. It's super straightforward, I promise. On your NOA, it literally says RRSP contribution limit, and then a number beside it, which is how much you're allowed to contribute to your RRSP this year. It also takes into account the contribution room left over from past years if you haven't filled it up all the time. RRSP mistake number 3 to avoid is not investing the money you put into your RRSP. Don't feel bad if you've been confused about this. You are certainly not alone. An RRSP is an investing account, but it's not an investment. RRSP is just the name of the account. And once you've contributed money to that account, you need to use it to buy investments with. Just letting the money sit there, maybe earning a basic interest rate from the bank, if you're lucky, won't do you much good. RRSPs are designed to promote a long-term buy and hold investment strategy, which you've heard me talk about in other videos, because you shouldn't be planning on accessing that money anytime soon anyways, and you're actually penalized for taking money out of that account early. It's designed to be the perfect place to buy index funds or mutual funds and then to sit back and sit on them for long periods of time to let that money grow. If you just put that money into your RRSP and never invest it though, it's just going to lose value over time as inflation rises and the value of your dollar decreases, and the account won't be doing what it's designed to do and actively working and helping you grow wealth the way that it's supposed to. So again, to clarify, RRSP is not the investment, it's the account that you use to put money into, and then you buy investments within that account, and that money can grow tax-free. Mistake number 4 that a lot of people make with their RRSPs is they don't name a beneficiary. In theory, you're going to contribute and grow a lot of money in this account over the course of your lifetime, and should something happen to you before you get access to that money, you can choose who the money goes to. Now, maybe in your case, if you already have a will you're happy with, then you can just name your estate as your beneficiary and it will get divided up according to your will. Or maybe you have a specific person who you want to benefit from your RRSP, in which case you want to name them as your beneficiary when you open the account. This is also something that you want to make sure you keep updated over the course of your life. For example, should your relationship with a person change, maybe you get remarried, you'll probably want to change your beneficiary to be your new spouse instead of your previous spouse. There are so many different ways of doing this, and the point is just to be aware that this is a choice that you can make when you do the paperwork to open your RRSP. You can also update it, and it probably is something that you want to just set reminders every once in a while to go back and make sure that your RRSP information like this is updated over the course of your life. And finally, mistake number 5 to avoid making with your RRSP is contributing money that you expect to need to access one day in the near future. The idea with your RRSP account is that you start contributing and investing when you're young, and that you don't touch that account until your retirement age and can access it without penalty. If you're looking for a place to save money for a down payment, then an RRSP is not the best place to save it. Now, yes, there is a first-time homebuyers plan that allows you to withdraw from your RRSP, but there are limitations to this, so make sure that you understand them before deciding to go this route and save your down payment money in an RRSP, because things might happen, you might not be able to access it. If you put money into your RRSP account and then take it out again for an emergency or a big purchase, then you will be penalized on that money and you never get to make it back up again. You don't get that contribution room back. So this account really is for long-term investing and saving only as much as you possibly can. The rule of thumb is to make sure that the basics of your finances are taken care of before you contribute money to your RRSP, because you do not want to have to take any of that money back out again. This also means making sure that you have your emergency account fully funded. This is one of the best ways to make sure that you don't ever end up in a pinch and need to access that money in your RRSP. So make sure before you start contributing and investing that you have your emergency fund topped up, that your basic financial life needs are taken care of. And also you want to make sure that you're not carrying any high interest consumer debt like credit card debt. The one exception to this that you can consider is that if you're offered an employer match for RRSP contributions, then if you're able to, then you should absolutely be taking advantage of this, because it can end up being a fair amount, a lot actually, of free money over the course of your working life that you'd otherwise just be leaving on the table if you don't take advantage of your employer match. So if you just managed to avoid these 5 common RRSP mistakes, then you can feel pretty confident that you're using your RRSP properly, responsibly, and taking good care of your future. Truly, if you just avoid these pitfalls, then you're doing really well. And you'll be amazed by how much wealth you can accumulate for your retirement just by using your RRSP properly. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please remember to subscribe, like, and comment on the video below. Also, if this was helpful information for you, then I think you'll probably get some good tips out of these 2 videos as well. They're both about the do's and don'ts of investing for beginners. So if you're inspired to use your RRSP properly after this episode, then starting to understand investing just a little bit, just the basics of investing, really is your next step. So thank you so much again for tuning in. I appreciate you so much. I'm Corey. This was the How to Adult Show, and I can't wait to see you right back here next Monday with a brand new episode.